This is called an electric unicycle.
If you ride EUC, you guaranteed have had somebody come up to you and ask, what is that thing?
What do you call that thing?
I love telling them that I could only afford half a motorcycle, so that's what I got. But when you have a wheel that ticks all the boxes, you can't over-torque it. It can conquer any hill, and it has thrilling speed. That's a special thing. Which is why I want to talk to you about the wheel I have behind me, the Begode ET Max. And this is me talking about my first 100 miles with it, and what are my impressions, what do I think? Let's get into it. Out of the box, the ET Max comes with the stock 5-amp charger, the pre-cut Velcro, which half of mine didn't work and I had to replace it, and the stock Begode pads, which are actually pretty good, and they look good with the wheel. I swapped mine out for Grizzlies, but to each their own. So this ET Max from EWheels features the upgraded SKF Bearings and tubeless tire. EWheels did include the 4580 Roger charger. I believe it natively works for the GT Pro and the ET Max. It's a great charger. My only complaint is the thing is loud. It kind of sounds like a jet engine. But if it works, and I'm not gonna complain. So the ride feel of the ET Max has actually been very, very smooth. The 90/90 tire that it comes with, that wide base is fantastic. The wheel just sticks to the road. And when you're going fast, I don't really feel like I have the need to carve to keep the wheel stable.
Our PA roads suck. Okay, good thing to talk about. So this wheel ships with the DS200 shock, and mine is the 1,300-pound spring. So far, it's been pretty good for me. I mean, I usually ride with a little bit of a stiffer suspension on most all my wheels. That being said, there's a 900-pound option. So if you are looking into this wheel, understand that there are two versions of the spring. Now, I haven't ever ridden something that was nice and soft, but this 1,300-pound shock has been perfectly fine for me. Or at least that's what I've acclimated to because I don't know any better.
For reference, I'm about 5'7", about 165 pounds. Being a rider who's shorter, I kind of thought that I'd be practically sitting on it when I rode it, but the height of the wheel hasn't really been an issue for me. Especially learning to ride seated, I feel like this wheel is much easier for me to learn that, and I've actually made some pretty good progress with it. The one thing I will make note of is, I noticed that when I lowered the pedal height to the lowest setting, the wheel felt more unstable at higher speeds, than if I left it at the middle setting.
Here's where you can see, in terms of my height to where the pedal height is, I feel like the middle section for me is more stable than going to the lowest option. It could be my ride height, it could be a couple other factors, but that was just my findings as of right now.
Plus, if I would have lowered it any more, this thing would be up my ass. I mean, it'd be saying hello.
To be honest, even riding this wheel in traffic, I always feel like I'm in control of my speed. Like, sometimes cars will stop right in front of you, and I'm never worried about whether I can brake in time. The braking on this thing is pretty great. Boom. Nice and snappy. I feel like its braking power is just awesome.
After playing around with the settings, the mild pedal softness and the off-road mode seem to be best for my area.
Out of the box, it was set to racing mode, and I noticed that I seemed to struggle on some steeper hills just getting up them. It was like I was really dragging, trying to maintain speed getting up a hill. I know the wheel has the power for it, so I was wondering what I was doing wrong. I ended up switching to off-road mode, and I felt like I had a lot more torque to get up those steep hills and maintain my speed. I hope I'm saying that right. I might not be doing something correctly, so if anyone in the comments wants to say, hey, maybe you're not looking at something, maybe you don't have a setting that's right, please feel free to put that in the comments so I can use that calibration, set my wheel to that, and give it another shot and maybe post another video of what the hell am I doing? So any insight would be very welcome.
A setting I want to point out, especially if you just recently got an ET Max, is the lateral tilt angle limit. I saw a few videos where it comes out of the box set at 30%. So if you're someone who likes to carve and you carve a little deeper, that wheel might cut out on you while you're riding. So definitely go into the settings and adjust that to where it's going to fit your riding style the best. I've never been an early adopter of technology. And in 2025, there's a lot of new and exciting wheels that are coming out.
Me personally, I tend to wait and let the more experienced people grab those devices, beat them up, tear them up, find out where their flaws are, and get back to the company to where in the later generations, maybe the R&D or the software or the hardware is going to be improved.
So with that being said, and the ET Max being out in the market for over a year, I decided to take the plunge on it and kind of weigh it against the other 168 volt wheel that came out last year, the GT Pro.
And so far, this wheel, I wish I would have gotten this one over the GT Pro. For how tall it is and how heavy it is, I feel so much more nimble on this ET Max than I was on my GT Pro.
You know, when I had the Commander Mini and the GT Pro, I felt like I was very agile on the Commander Mini. And the GT Pro gave me the speed that I wanted, but it was kind of like riding a bus, at least for me. Going fast felt really, really stable. But going slow, I tend to take a little more open paths that didn't require me to be really agile. I feel like I can turn on a dime riding the ET Max, and it might be because it's taller instead of longer, but that's just an opinion. So one thing I do want to say in favor of the GT Pro is its acceleration out of the box is impressive. In comparison, I think the ET Max was a little more sluggish.
With every wheel, you're gonna have to learn it, and this one did have a learning curve for me. I think that's the biggest takeaway. If you are considering this wheel, it's gonna take some tooling, especially where you put your pads, because that's gonna make a big difference where you access the power of this wheel. I had my pads too high or too tight, at least for my riding style, and I felt like I could just never accelerate. As soon as I kind of lowered some stuff and angled some things, I felt like I could just tap into the power of this wheel, no problem.
The ability to rapid charge with the ET Max out of the box is awesome. And with the rapid charger and having access to 20 amp charging, you, I believe from 0 to full, can get there in 1 hour.
But I was a little surprised to learn that when I bought my GT Pro initially, it did not have 20 amp charging enabled in it. You had to get a special board for that. And when I contacted Alien Rides, which is who I bought the thing from first, they told me that the board replacement was only available for the GT Pro Plus, which I thought that kind of sucked to hear, but knowing this one is already enabled with it is pretty sweet. And again, I'm going off of what I have been told. So I was a little nervous about my range with this wheel. You know, having the C38 tile type motor, which I think I'm saying that right, and the 3,000 watt hour battery pack, you know, I wasn't sure what it was gonna do compared to the GT Pro, and I do feel, comparing those two wheels, this one is a little more power hungry, but it wasn't as bad as I expected.
You know, even though it's a brand new wheel and the battery hasn't really been charged too many times, you know, I found with mixed riding, I'm getting around 50 miles to a full charge, which that's not bad for a wheel that has the power that this one does.
So let's just do this real quick. I rode easily 20 miles, 20 hard miles on some hills and some high speeds. And hopefully you can see my screen here. If not, I will screen capture it and post it. I am at 88% battery. which is pretty sweet. I didn't have this on the whole time, so I just turned it on.
It also doesn't hurt when you get a wheel that looks good. It's one of the nicer looking wheels, I think, that are out in the market. You know, I see a lot of people do a lot of cool upgrades with 3D printing, or they go through different companies like Vertex or Grizzla, and they really customize their wheels and they make them look really cool. Out of the box, this thing looks like something Batman would ride. You know, he's in the tumbler, riding through the city, gets hit with a rocket. You see him launch out the back riding this thing, I wouldn't question it whatsoever.
Nice unicycle.
Thank you. See, people like it.
Just on a few of my rides, it's the wheel that I think has gotten the most compliments. However, Begode Panther, that thing's looking pretty sweet too, so I got my eye on that one. I feel like one design flaw is the tinted plastic that covers the taillight. If you're riding during the day, that taillight looks pretty dim. People on the road are gonna have a hard time seeing that or even noticing it.
So I actually put something on my helmet. It's the brake-free helmet light. And I have to say, it so far has been pretty spectacular in terms of its visibility and brightness. Now I have it on a low setting, so, and here I'll do like a harder brake.
So if you're considering getting an ET Max, you may also want to consider putting something on the back of your helmet or anything to make you more visible to other riders that are on the road.
So doing a leg day at the gym and then riding the wheel was probably not too smart of an idea. Something good to talk about. There was one night not too long ago where the temperature dropped down almost to the 30s, and I did not dress for success. As soon as I started to feel a little shaky in my legs, this wheel really started to feel unstable. And there's been a few other times where I've had just long rides. I've taken my charger with me, I charged the wheel up, and I just kept going all day. And when my legs started to feel really tired, I experienced the same exact thing. I started to become unsteady on the wheel. I had to go real slow just to, get back and feel sure of myself. This is interesting to me because my other wheels, I would ride them until I was too tired to stand up, and I never really experienced that unsteadiness like I have on this one. It's almost like it knows when you're tired, and if it can shake you loose, it's gonna do it. Just an interesting observation that I have made while riding this wheel.
Who do I think this wheel's for?
A lot of people now, I think, are looking for EUCs that have range, which there's plenty of options out there. Some people are looking for EUCs that have power, and that's awesome too. Although I feel like all I'm doing is talking about the new Begode Panther, which again, that looks super great.
If range is what you're looking for, I don't know if this wheel's gonna tick all the boxes for you. But if you're looking for some fun, high speed, street riding, or just short distance city commuting, this wheel's fantastic.
I will say, this wheel wants to go fast. It most definitely wants to go fast.
So these are just my initial thoughts for my first 100 miles. My opinion might change in the next 500, but maybe we'll revisit that at a different time. So if you're considering getting an ET Max, hopefully this helps you out. If you do have an ET Max, leave a comment for others on what your experience has been with it so far. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you all sail the concrete seas.